Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Kellett. I'm a distinguished engineer at Deutsche Bank, and we're here today to talk about DevOps and the journey to DevOps and the business case for DevOps. I'd like to start by talking a little about and giving you a little bit of history. We started DevOps seriously when we launched our digital factory 4 years ago. So before that, we had many attempts at the project level or at the program level to introduce DevOps, to introduce fast delivery cycles. None of them really succeeded because as soon as the project or the program started to integrate into the controls around the organization, it was a real issue for the project team, and eventually they ended up going back to less of an agile approach, more of a waterfall approach, and certainly much less in terms of an operational involvement in the process, and much more about the handover of development into production, or UAT into production at that point. So we really decided that we'd have a step change in our approach, and the step change that we put in place was to basically create an environment outside of our current development environments, outside of our current center. And we actually took one of our older buildings and converted that into a digital factory, where we would start then doing a lot of the digital design and digital implementation of our solutions, our channel solutions for our customers at that stage. Without that commitment, I don't think we'd have got as far as we did with our DevOps process. So if I think about when we started this process, we had 138 controls as part of our release mechanism at that point, and whenever an application hit those, then it automatically then came back into more of a DevOps, more of a waterfall model of development at that stage. When we think about DevOps, we think about three key themes, right? We think about process, we think about tools, and we think about culture. And without those three areas altogether, we're really going to suffer in terms of how we implement DevOps. Without all three there, I think it's pretty much impossible to implement DevOps in a sensible way across the organization. At this point, I'd like to introduce Carola, who was part of the team that set up the DevOps organization as part of our initial setup of the factory, and now runs that environment. And she can take you through some of the detail on how we build some of our DevOps into our core processes and tools at this stage. So take it away, Carola.
Thank you, Mike, for introducing. And hello and guten Tag from Germany. We all know how challenging it is for a bank to build great products for their customers. We are very much regulated and currently under a huge cost pressure. And there are all these fintechs around us, and this gives a huge competition. And with COVID, we faced another challenge regarding how fast we could be, or how fast we should be, to come up with digital solutions. And with regard to DevOps, question now is, how can we improve this, or how can we achieve this using DevOps? And this is the second part of my speech. Starting with the process. And we know we are very regulated, and regulatory compliance it's a very big topic, and all our processes need to follow these requirements. And every time when we change something, we need to test against compliance to be sure that we do not violate anything. And therefore, it's really needed to have also for our internal software development processes or delivery processes, a good collaboration with all the parties around us, dealing with compliance, and also things like information security, etc. And sitting together with them and walking through the changes we want to do, and validating if the compliance controls we currently have are still fitting the purpose, is very important, because if we are over-controlled, then we directly lose the improvements we got with the changes we did in our IT management or in our IT delivery processes. And when we see what we are focusing on in our processes, when it goes to software delivery performance, we are talking about reducing lead time, increasing release frequency, reducing change failure rate, and also reducing time to restore, because these are the main indicators for software delivery. And with compliance as a partner, we are pretty much able to achieve and to provide the changes within our processes to our teams being in these processes very early and beneficial for their own challenge producing the right products for our consumers. And the way how we are dealing with these parties is that we are really early involving them, and it's a partnership. And also we have the trust in each other, and therefore, and this is what changed over the last years, we do not work against each other. We are working collaborative together. And this brings me to the point where we say, okay, when we have these processes and when we know that with these processes we are able to increase our software delivery performance, then we need to implement them. And therefore we need tools. And this is the second gear. Tools and also the capabilities to use or to apply these tools in an appropriate way, because having only tools in place without the knowledge to really use them in the right manner does not really help. And next to having the tools, we're also talking about a high degree on automation in between these tools. Integrate them in a way that we have smooth running pipelines end to end, not ending at the continuous deployment. To say, okay, we successfully deployed something into production. It goes far further. Monitoring, logging systems, which feed back actively the results into development area. And having these in place, this really helps us to achieve our vision from idea to production safely in a day. We already have teams really achieving this. And we also see how easy it can be to connect all the tools in a way that we really have smooth running pipelines in place. Additionally to this automation, and this was, I said already with the compliance piece, we need to have reliable attestation in place, means we need to see, do we meet the compliance requirements at every stage of these pipelines, and having the right tools also in place for compliance as code, for instance, or to automate controls. This helps us at the end to get the full picture and to really enable our teams to deliver their software safely in a day. Additionally to the tools, we need the capabilities, I said, and sometimes we do not really know what we need to really improve our software delivery. And therefore, we introduced early this year the DORA framework. So this came along with our Google partnership. And you maybe know DORA out of the Accelerate book and the DevOps report 2019. This framework helps to understand which capabilities you should focus on to improve your software delivery performance. And what we started with was the so-called DORA assessments. We piloted it in several teams and in parts of the organization. And as the results, we really saw where are the capabilities to focus on, and also got practices proven by the DORA research behind to help our teams to do the right things in the right way. And this DORA, to know where you are, which capabilities you need to implement, and the pipelines we have in place, and we are constantly and continuously improving. This combination helps us also from a tools perspective to get the best out of the software delivery pipelines to really be able, and this is what we need at the end. We need to enable our application teams to deliver their products in a way that it's valuable for our customers. I said already that we have many, many good examples in the bank, and we need to see how we get these good knowledge, how we get these good behavior distributed in the bank. And this brings me to the point, tools and processes are needed, but this is not DevOps. DevOps has a huge cultural aspect, and it's really important that we think about how we can improve or implement a DevOps culture in a way that it's beneficial for us as a company. And when we are talking about the culture, then we are talking about people and interaction between humans. So sensitivity, empathy, all these things needed to be included. And we started, and also DevOps culture comes along with the engineering culture. And when we started with our global enterprise engineering programs, I think a few years ago already, then one objective was to increase the level or the number of engineers in the bank because of our outsourcing and initiatives in the past, and also missing career options. Many of our good engineers left the bank already. And being a company producing very good products, technical products for our customers, we need engineers. And that's why it's important to give these people the chance to develop and to go on a career path. And that's why we came up with a career development framework in the past. So it's now implemented, and people can choose this career path as well. It makes also the bank attractive for application from people from outside, because without the right people, we will not be able to deliver what we want. Additionally, we started programs around engineering excellence. So we put the operating responsibility and the operators itself more in focus, because we are no longer talking about implementing feature. We're really talking about what's about running a complete product. And this includes also operational excellence and everything around it. And also, we implemented an SRE role, site reliability engineering. We started in production engineering this year, and we also see an increase of site reliability engineers across the organization. So many of our teams already have this role included now, and there are also platforms available for these people to improve their skills. And we are really looking for these skill sets outside the bank also to improve our capabilities with regard of site reliability engineering. Additionally, and this is also very important from my point of view, we need to have platforms in place where people can share their knowledge and exchange ideas and learn from each other. And beside having training in place, what we have with our platforms like a DevOps school, DB Academy, Connect to Learn, I think we have at least 3 or 4. This is one big part. We also need to implement communities. And the combination to guide the people through the offering of the trainings we have available within the bank with regard to the engineering capabilities or DevOps capabilities. This paired with all the knowledge is sitting in Confluence or in our SharePoint and in documentations of our teams. There's such a huge amount of information and knowledge available, and we are currently building a DevOps Capability Navigator. A little tool helps you to guide through all these information and training offerings to find the right way for your purpose as a team or also as an individual. And what I would like to mention as well, so I said we need communities, and there's a new global DevOps community underway. And we also have a bunch of communities around engineering in place. And these communities of practice, these group of people meeting on a regular basis, sharing their ideas and best practices is a very good or a really great opportunity also to develop yourself and give you the chance to show up, to share your knowledge and prove your knowledge. And what I also want to mention, I think since a year we have an engineering day every month. And on this day, our engineers are requested to not go into meetings, to use this day to learn, to practice, and to share knowledge. And having this in place really puts the engineering pillar, the engineering piece in such a focus. And this really helps also us in the wider organization to understand how important these skills are and how important it is to develop people in that direction. And with this, I would like to finish the culture piece and would like to hand back to Mike to talk about the momentum we currently have and the huge opportunities we have in the bank currently to accelerate our DevOps journey.
Thank you, Carola. So I think there's one key thing. So, I mean, I guess any crime drama will tell you, right? Means, opportunity, and motive are the key aspects at this stage, right? So Carola's kind of taking you through the means of how we achieve, our DevOps and provide the capabilities and the opportunities for developers and the realize the capabilities so that our development teams and our DevOps teams now have the ability to execute. We have motive. I mean, there's lots of motives that we've seen and lots of value that we've seen around agility and response time. I mean, the banking sector is going through a huge disruption at the moment, and we need to be able to adapt quickly and fail fast and become disruptive ourselves within the industry. And we're starting to see some of the benefits of that with some of the digital capabilities that we're pushing out there with Verimi and some of our applications and some of our domains at this point, right? We need better consistency, and we can clearly demonstrate improved quality and reduced error rates. And when I talked about the 138 controls that there were in place originally, I think there's now 11 or 12, and they're all automated. So we really do have pipelines now that take us straight through, into production. That's not what it's about, because it is the other aspect of it is also looking at how you then write your code for operational management, and the SRE side of it is obviously a big part of this as well. But if you look at the kind of the key area for me as well is about providing the opportunities. So it's all well and good having a pipeline. It's all well and good having the right intentions. It's all well and good having the right kind of people. But you need some kind of catalyst that will start the process, and some reason for changing and some reason for your organization to take this forward and adopt it. Disruption is definitely a key one for us. We see the industry moving significantly with the fintech community, and clearly that's a disruptive influence that we need to be able to react to, and therefore we need to be agile in order to be able to respond to that. If you also think about the industry as a whole, the tech industry as a whole, there's a big disruption going on at the moment with cloud and serverless technologies. And therefore, this provides us with a huge opportunity as well when we're going through migrations and transformation programs to start to think about how we introduce this as a core tenet of the program that we're doing, which is an organizational program. My experience is when we try and do this in projects on a project level, it's not really successful. It has to be backed by management, and it has to be at an organizational level. You have to introduce the culture. You have to change the culture to being a culture of risk management and risk taking, but in a managed way, but also a strong engineering culture away from a more traditional project and program management culture. So I think if you think about from our organization perspective, the drivers, what are the drivers and why, where do we see the benefits? The benefits are absolutely in our ability to compete, where previously that would have been impossible, and certainly in markets where previously that would have been impossible. Our ability to release new products, new environments, new startups, even in a competitive way, is part of the, the changes that we've seen, and I put a lot of that down to DevOps and the way that we adopted DevOps very early in our process. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the conference.